Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back on another reaction video. Today we're going to be checking out another drop from Oliver Anthony. Now, this isn't a new song yet. He's got new songs coming out next month, but he did a redo of one of his old songs with better audio, so we're going to dig in and check out Rich Man's Gold. Let's go. I like everything from the man so far, and it's always been a great discussion. So.
Born, just pay bills and die.
True that.
You weren't born, just pay bills and die.
You're right, there's a whole lot of life that goes on in between there.
All you need is a dog, a shine, a crick in the back, and a good woman. Oh Lord, you don't need that rich man's gold.
You don't. You can absolutely just disappear into the woods. Take your woman and your dog with you. Go build a cabin out in the middle of nothing. But if you want to survive in life, then you have to work and you have to get the job and you have to get gold. The reason we have money, like people seem to misunderstand, like that maybe there wasn't trade before money or something. No, like capitalism has always existed. It just used to be, okay, well, I'll trade you a cow for 14 chickens and 2 goats. And you tried to get the best deal out of that. Well, currency just makes that shit easier. You don't have to carry around chickens and goats. You can say, hey, this thing that holds value is worth the chickens and goats. Right? That's what currency is. It's just a medium of exchange. Now, you have to choose whether or not you want to chase that to excess. Right? Money facilitates life. It's not life. It's not the goal of life. It's not what you're supposed to do, right? But it helps you do the things you're supposed to do. It helps you to raise a family if you can buy the things that you cannot grow. That's just a reality of life. And yes, people existed without money, right? In communal areas where people take care of themselves, tribes and things like that. But even they traded with other tribes. Like even the basics of currency were understood across the globe. We're not fighting against the money. We're not fighting against people making money. That's dumb. That's never going to stop. What we need to fight against is people misusing our money. Now, I know people don't like it when I say it, but paying taxes is a privilege. That's something that we get to do as a flourishing country. We get to pay somebody else to make roads for us, to educate our children. And we have to hold them to account for that. They are supposed to do this with our money, and we allow them to do that with our money instead. That's an us problem. That is we need to take responsibility for that problem. That's not a them problem. We know they're crooks, and we vote for them anyway. Right? Now, I'm not one of those, the vote doesn't matter. It absolutely does matter. Get involved in making sure that you have a good candidate running. Get involved in making sure that the good candidate gets the position. Well, they're all the same. Well, then find somebody who's not. Go to your community and convince a good man to run, or a good woman. Right? I'm not discriminatory in any fashion on that. Women can govern too. But it's up to us to make sure the proper people are in there. And if they're not, then we need to replace them. That is why we have the system that we have. That is why our republic can flourish. Because we can say, no, you don't get to make these decisions anymore. You don't get to have a public life anymore. But we don't. Instead, we say, there's nothing I can do about it, or taxation is theft. And we just pretend like that's going to solve something. It's not going to solve something until we take personal responsibility for everything we can put our hands on. Everything you can actually touch, you can change. And so you can actually get out and touch your local representatives. Now, I would not recommend that. You'll probably catch some charges. But you can go see them. You can go talk to them. You can hold their figurative feet to the fire. And you choose not to. It is much better to watch Netflix and let somebody else worry about that road. Everybody wants to think, well, if we weren't taxed, we'd build our own roads. The fuck you would. You would not build a road. You might pave the section in front of your house, but that is as far as you are going. You will sit there and complain loudly about your neighbor not paving their roads. That's what will happen in anarcho-capitalism. On the good side of things. On the bad side of things, like anarcho-capitalism, or anarchism at all, right? Abolishment of government, right? There's a lot of people that believe that's a thing, that it's great, we can just get rid of the government. No, that is where despots come from. That is where tyranny comes from, because the entire history of humanity, up until about 250 years ago, was absolute tyranny. And then, about 100 years ago, we started extending freedoms in a way that is completely unprecedented on the entirety of the globe. Nowhere else on the entirety of the globe is freedom a thing. There is a semblance of freedom in some of these countries, but say something about the government and see how fast you're locked up. We're losing that here, but we still have it. All right, I'm going to let him sing. Like, I really do get spun up behind the whole taxation thing, because it's just an invalid argument. The taxation is theft is remarkably not a good argument. It's really not. And we can have debates, right? I don't want to just soliloquy to the camera, but taxation is a good thing. The fact that we can make enough money and be prosperous enough to pay somebody else to do the shit we don't want to is great. But we do need to hold them responsible. Now, slaving away for the rich man's gold, like I talked about it, right? Money is a necessity. You have to have it to do things that you can't do yourself. You can't grow a pair of shoes. Now, you can probably kill an animal and make you a pair of moccasins, right? You can tan the hide and put them on your feet, but it is not a pair of sneakers. You are not going to go running track with moccasins on your feet. You're not going to go cross-country racing. Now, people did it when they had no other choice, right? But if you have a choice between wearing this leather thing strapped around your foot or a pair of tennis shoes to run down the highway, which one are you going to take? Well, you're not building the plastic. You're not growing the rubber. You're not making the shoelaces. You're not creating polyester. You need a form of currency. We need responsibility with our currency. We need to not take jobs that don't pay well. That's a hard thing to do. I understand that. But we need more people willing to go out and take the risk to create a company to do the thing that's not paying well. Because you can make more money for yourself than you can working for someone else. We need our entrepreneurial spirit back. The drive not to get money, but to be successful for my generations, so that the people behind me can sit underneath this tree. We need to be planting trees, and all we are doing is fighting wars. All right, I have ranted long enough. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. That's what we do here. I told y'all, Christopher is always good for a good discussion. He sets me off in just the right way. And I am never, ever attacking the artist when I do this, unless I specify it.
Daddy grew up on dirt floors.
My grandma and them did too, right?
The whole county was dirt poor.
Oh, that's right.
Mama died.
East Feliciana, and they came from McNairy County, Tennessee.
When he was 4, what a damn shame.
What a damn shame.
They grew tobacco and raised hogs. 7 youngins and some old dogs. I reckon they was living high on the hog way back in their day. You say you won't born to just pay bill.
I can guarantee you, almost, right? People are different, some people are weird, but I can almost guarantee you that your grandmother would rather have refrigeration than them dirt floors. She would rather have a house with wooden floors on pillars than that dirt floor. She would rather have insulation in the walls and in the attic than that dirt floor. Now, I say that because the house I grew up in, my grandma and my pawpaw moved here from McNairy County, Tennessee with 6 children, and they wound up with 8. One of them died young. And so they lived out in Ethel, Louisiana, where there ain't nothing but cow pastures and churches. And they worked their ass off for that little 5-acre plot they had, and they raised all kinds of shit, but there wasn't a stitch of insulation in that house. And there was a fireplace room that has a fireplace on this corner of the house. And if it was really cold, everybody slept in that one room. Right? We had a propane tank when I was there, and propane was too expensive. So we had the same fireplace room. And most of the time, the fireplace wasn't lit because we couldn't afford the firewood. We didn't have heaters and air conditioners. Right? That's just the reality of where I grew up. Not a stitch of insulation. And I guarantee you with 100% accuracy that my grandma would have preferred living in the houses that we have now. To have the insulation and a floor that doesn't wobble when it walks. That you don't have to worry about falling through. You don't have to worry about your house coming off of a pillar. Or if there's a leak underneath the house, crawling under there with copperheads. I can guarantee you that they would have preferred where we live now than where they lived then. Now, they had better family ties, and they had better morals, and they had a better sense of community than we do. That is absolutely true. They lived better lives for the most part because they were not distracted by all the niceties that we are. They didn't allow their sense of, hey, I got to go out here and grow some food so I can feed these kids, to turn into, let me sit on this TV and watch some shit real quick. That's where we're at. That's our responsibility. We fell off. But I guarantee you, if they would have been born where we are, and that was the only thing that had changed, right? That they had their childhoods and they grew up the same, but they were able to have the housing that we do, they'd have worked their ass for the housing we have. I guarantee you that. Like, the simpler times were better in some ways, but they were terrible in others. My little uncle who died at 4 years old from scarlet fever, yeah, that would have been a whole lot better today. The people who died from smallpox and polio, the not caring for anyone that was there then, they would have took today. I guarantee you they would have took today. Even though they had a tighter knit family. They had more interaction then than we do now. But that's us. That's not them. And we're not here to pay bills and die. You're here for the journey, right? That's why we're here. We're here for the struggle, to get the best you can out of your personal struggle. And so some of us are dealt pretty shitty hands, and we have to fight pretty damn hard to get out of it. But you can get out of it, and that's the point. Because you can struggle and get out of it. You can form a plan and work the plan and get out of the shit. That is a possibility. It's not a possibility in a lot of places in the world. Did you know that? Right? Upward mobility is not a thing most places. Wherever you're born is where you stay. Most places. The fact that you can grind and get all of the things that people chase, the chasing of the things is where we're messing up. The love of money is the root of all evil. The money is to help us facilitate raising a good family and doing better for the next generations. We are here to foster better generations than came before. We have better understanding of everything. Everything is understandable to a great degree, right? We still don't understand God, of course, and we don't understand the conception of life. That's a mystery. We won't get that one. But most things we've got. We're in a much better place than we were 100 years ago, 60 years ago. When my dad was born, there was a good chance he would die in childbirth. Today, there's a good chance you won't. Progress is good. Holding on to values is good too. Conserving some things while changing some things. It's almost like I'm a middle of the road type person. Pay bills and die. Get him some.
All you need is a dog, a shack, a crick in the back, and a good woman, oh Lord, you don't need that rich man's gold.
All right, we're almost done with the songs. I'm going to let him finish out, but this is great. Like, I love to hear Oliver sing. Christopher. I love to see Oliver. I love to hear his music. I love to see him and expressing himself. He always helps me to get a good discussion going. But that viewpoint is really a young man's luxury. Like, I used to have that luxury, that thought that I could just run off and disappear into the woods, and it is possible. I know a guy that did it. He has been out there. Hell, it's been 35 years now. So he's been living in the woods. He just does his thing. He's got a little tent. He moves it around, so he's not in one spot. He's been out there happy and living his life, but he ain't got no wife and kids. Like, when you start having a family as a man, then that attitude starts to change. It did for me. It didn't for my dad. But there's that whole issue there, right? We've talked about that plenty enough. My dad never really grew up. He has that mentality today. He still today will tell you he'll run off to the woods. He's got a replacement knee. He's heavy, right? He's lost a lot of weight since he's been down here, but he's still heavy. And he can't walk far, but he's still in the mentality, I'll just run off to the woods. Okay. It's possible. You can run off to the woods, but you can't do that and be a responsible parent. You can't. You cannot. Like, you can live off grid and be a responsible parent. That is possible. But you can't just disappear into the woods and do it. You cannot completely disregard money and be a good parent. Not if you have knowledge of modernity, of what we have out here. Right? You cannot teach your child all they need to know. That is not a possibility. You have to hold your schools accountable for not teaching them what they shouldn't know. But you can't teach every facet of, even if you are an expert in math, well, then you need somebody to teach them science, and you need somebody to teach them history, because you're an expert in math. You might be a broad expert, and you have 3 subjects. Well, there's still subjects you don't know. We need the community. We need to pay our taxes responsibly. That is a privilege that we have. As a first world developed country, we have the privilege to pay somebody to do those things. We have the responsibility to make sure that it is done right. That is on us 100%. If you're not informed on the issues that affect your life and doing something about it, you really don't get to bitch about it. Now, if you're voting for someone and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you have every right to be angry. But if you're one of those people who says, I'm not voting because it don't matter, then you don't. You don't get to complain about the decisions people you refuse to take part in too. Like, it just, I mean, you can. I'm not going to stop you. But you're obviously not that concerned about it if you're not doing it. We need an informed electorate. We need the people who know these things to go out and do these things. Right? There are plenty of ignorant people voting. Don't be one of those. Be part of the change. Be part of what needs to come out of this. Let's quit chasing the rich man's gold. Right? Money is a useful tool, but it is just a tool. It is not a goal. There is no dollar amount that will ever make you happy. There is no amount of money or property that you can have that will give you happiness. You can be completely broke, completely destitute, and be happy. Money is not the goal. A good life is the goal. Finding a good wife and raising good kids is the goal, even if you wind up with nothing. And I have ranted way too long. This was like a 2-minute video and we're 20 minutes in. So there's a lot to say, right? I have a lot to say, and that's why I have a channel. That's why we talk about these things. That's why people get mad at me for stopping the video, because every time that we got something to talk about, we need to talk about it. And I realize that that's going to make my channel grow slowly. I'm okay with that. I'm not chasing the rich man's gold. I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to help people understand things. Sometimes it's like economy, and sometimes it's religion, and sometimes it's depression, and sometimes it's anxiety. Like, there's all kinds of things to help people with, and I'm out here trying to help people. I'm not chasing that goal. But I wouldn't mind having some. And that's where we're going to wrap it up. Christopher, Oliver Anthony Music, thank you so very much for this. I appreciate it. Y'all make sure y'all go back, show some love, give them a like, share, and a sub, throw them a comment. The link is in the description box down below. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. You're perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt State. Peace.